Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of, well, I guess another after-action report on Advanced Tactics School GD 1938. But this time, we actually can consider this not an after-action report. I'll be playing the whole turnout in front of you. Well, maybe not the whole turn, but a lot of it. Because basically, we're on the precipice of war with Germany. They are set to invade any moment. And I'm trying to just get together the last little semblance of forces I can. What I've done, okay, let's see, how do I talk about this in a sensible manner? This is always this and Gary Grigsby's War in the East has got to be another very difficult one to talk about because there's so much you can cover in a turn. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to send, I just sent out some submarines last turn. I just wanted to get a little bit of scouting in with these guys. And I still do want to get a little bit of scouting as long as the action points. Yeah, so that's probably all I want to do with that. We might as well also send our battleship out. Let's see, how far can we get? I'll just do the same kind of scouting, see if that helps at all. Okay. Looks like our destroyers can also get some scouting in. We're just getting... Oh, these guys have already moved. Cargo ships. We don't really need those, but we can get these guys to do air recon. Well, this seems like the most important place to do recon, so let's do that. 24 points. We're just trying to learn what we're up against here. And I'm just going to start off here, and probably I should start off even further south. So, originally I was defending this border with the French and the British, so French, British, because I wasn't sure what would be happening in the game. Now, with the way things are going, I can kind of consider the British and the French, the Allies, basically my allies. Because we've reset it up the game mechanics. I don't know if you were really following, if I did a good job explaining how things are. If I go to, let's do it this way. Let's turn off hex coloring, I guess. No, we'll leave it on. So basically what's happening is, oh, that's very weird. We have British inside the French. That's kind of unfortunate, but regardless. We have the British and the French, basically the Allies and the Americans are still against the Germans and the Italians when they decide to go to war once again. They're in a stalemate, a standoff, a ceasefire. Really, a ceasefire, probably the best way to say it. Now, Japan and China are no longer at war. In fact, they are now allied and controlled by the same person who is going to go to war with the United States. So basically, Germany and Italy are in one battle with the Western allies. Japan and China are in another battle, or will be, with the United States. And the Germany, Italy versus... I mean, it's also against the United States, but the United States might be tied up in the East. Germany, Italy is going to be, first and foremost, declaring war on me, Russia. And then France and Great Britain will join in if it becomes desperate, or I don't know. I don't know when they'll join in, but at some point they will join in. So right now, I just need to set up myself to defend well against the incursion, and I want to, ideally, I'm trying to consider counterattack points. All right, but that said, I'm going to re-raster the grid because I absolutely have to use that grid. It's just very helpful for me when I'm actually trying to count out hexes and stuff like that. So I was originally going to leave this infantry unit down here, but now I'm so concerned. I basically have two options: send them west to help hold Turkey, and Turkey appears to have like only a very weak. These guys, do they have any recon? Yeah, one. That's not really significant. We'll go with the fighters who have only one as well. Okay, that's really not that much better. I mean, it's not better at all. So we'll just do a little bit of recon, just see what we can get. Oh, we might as well move these guys forward and then back, just to help with recon a little bit. Oh, we're up to 171 over here. That's not bad. So this is probably pretty accurate. We're up against probably 2 or 3 fighters here, and this is probably 33-2-2-2. I'm guessing, because there's obviously a bit of a fog of war built in. Yeah, and we can see that with the variation here, we're pretty sure it's 33-2-2-2. Because that's, I think, what we have over here, right? This is 33-2-2-2. So it'd be one against the other. Exactly a matched set. I I don't think Italy is going to get any further than taking maybe this one hex, because they will be able to attack it from two sides. That's not really that much, and I'm actually going to defend it well. If I can, I would like to put pressure here. So I do have two Russian divisions already set to support. We have one artillery, which is Turkish, and I'm also going to be able to bring over my navy. I think we'll just leave some kind of navy around here to hopefully stifle any of Constanta's navy, which won't be much. It looks like they have a few World War I destroyers, which are very old. One destroyer 2, which is decent, and then one submarine 1. Mainly this is mainly a land war, we know that. But if I could get the oil here, that would be significant, or at least put enough pressure on to force them to react. Obviously, the main idea is not to actually attack forward, but just to force a reaction. If we draw any forces away, we've done the right thing. And after drawing them away, even if we lose everything in Turkey, we will already have done our mission accomplished. Will be... Actually, I don't really know... If we don't win the opening, it actually does snowball out of control for us. There's no... I mean, in the real life, the Russians had to actually work up. They were not in good combat shape in the beginning. So that they actually needed the winter war and all that. They needed the winter to stall things so that they could get organized. They could start... they switched over to better production. They got help from Lend-Lease, stuff like this. We don't have that same situation. Our situation is kind of, we are in the best shape that we'll be at the start of this war. And the reason for that is because I have diligently improved quality, and next turn will be 100%. And then there won't be any other opportunities to improve that because we're back with everyone else. I'm already at 200% for my economy, so nothing to change there. No diplomatic actions we need to change. The only thing we will keep in mind is if we should move our industry from Odessa, Kiev, and Minsk back at some point, I don't know. Obviously, everything else is Polish lands, so these aren't giving us quite as much. They're just your general European. So we're not getting as much from production with those. We're getting significantly less. They're just a kind of a political point supplier for the time being, but if we lose those, it's not a big deal. Although it does give the Germans more to actually build with. Which is why I say we're in the best shape we will be in ever now. Because as we give up ground, we lose production, and Germany gains production. So the only thing that we can hope for is that they're running out of fuel. I don't think that that's a problem. I don't think they're running out of manpower. We certainly aren't, which you wouldn't expect the Russians to do. Alright, so let's keep going south to north since I've already started here. All that, we've spent like 8 minutes and we're just about to move our first unit. Well, that's the way this game goes sometimes. I'm going to move this unit back north because I suspect that this unit will be much more needed in the north than it will be anywhere else. Okay, this unit will push in... What is my stack here? It's at 172. What is my stack here? It's 39. So this will put us over 200. And I think the stack limit is 200 is what... No, it might be 100. This might be like grotesquely too many people. I don't need the cavalry to stay in there. They're only there for spotting, so we'll move them back. Now we're stacking at 104, which makes more sense. We have the fighter here on intercept. So if they try to do a air attack, we'll defend. But if we try to do any kind of attack, I guess what we'll do is probably bring this artillery in and slowly whittle away at this infantry with our close air support, our CAS, and also our artillery. Just to force a response again. That's the whole point here, force a response. We certainly have the offensive capability to attack in, but that won't really get us anything. Although they might be very light here. We only have pretty minor reconnaissance, and note that this is also a city, so that there's hide points 20. So we can think of this as only a reconnaissance of 22. But, I mean, taking a single city would already be enough, I think, to force a reaction. So let's move this unit in. Yeah, what is this unit of 30? It doesn't have mortar. Oh, I see. The only difference is it doesn't have mortar. That mortar is actually pretty powerful. I mean, that's a great unit to not have. Oh, and this one's mortar and infantry gun 2. So this is a great unit to defend with because mortars don't defend well. Infantry guns 2, I don't know. That's slightly better than infantry gun 1. Fine. Turkey done. I'm going to move this unit out of Baku. I was thinking of leaving it here, but really there's no... This sea doesn't have anything it links to. So we can just move this unit out. And what I'll do is I'll replace that eventually. I like to, for role-playing reasons, leave little garrisons. 30 rifles actually isn't even that little. It might be too much. People might tell me, okay, this is too much, but I think it only makes sense to leave a garrison in these, because historically that's what would happen. Everyone in min-max wargaming likes to push all the units to the front, but if we want to be a little bit realistic about it, you would never do that. You would always leave some garrisons in these little places. So I like to kind of, if it's not implemented in the game in some manner, which it normally, you do have some games which implement a small province defense in it. If it's not, then I like to leave a little garrison. I mean, probably this is realistically would only be like 10 riflemen. It'd be a very, I mean, maybe even less than that, but it would be something. Just a few defensive forces. So we will be pulling a lot of our forces to the front, but just not all of them. Okay, so we are going to continue to push forward with some of the troops here. I think this port is important enough to defend. Maybe not. It's just very difficult to take back if we lose it. So for that reason, I think I'm going to push a regular division here. And I want Sevastopol to be very defended. So I'm going to leave 2 infantry divisions in that. We'll take one with the fort, but we'll move this guy in here. And obviously all the mortars just need to combine. Well, can't move this one, can we? I guess there. Oh, okay, it's a game of catch-up. Okay, there I guess. So we'll link all the mortars up eventually. Basically all these are just combining because I don't want my defensive units to have mortars. A lot of these guys won't be doing any forward attacking. We'll just be defending. And if that's the case, then mortars are just a burden, a waste, really a waste. Even though I think mortars are defensive, are they background units? Yeah, they are rear area units. That does change it a little bit. So your mortars can actually attack behind the front. That means that they should be less likely to be targeted. But I don't know the combat stats enough to guarantee that. And if we look at this, their combat stats are just really not that impressive on the defense anyway. Like against armor they do nothing, and against infantry they don't do... I don't think they do enough to warrant the risk. So we'll save them for their offensive units. Okay, what else? Let's just keep moving up the range here. Some submarines and stuff, but I don't think any of this needs to be deployed. We have a unit here. Let's push them forward. We have a 30 rifle. This will probably be my defense in Rostov. This unit, we need this unit to be, I think 3 away from here, and I think I'm going to put them on the upside, even though this is going to leave them really far away from, for example, Tbilisi and from Baku, which we'll probably also have a force in. I don't mind if they're really far away from those less important units. I just want to make sure we get really close to the units that are going to matter. And we may be conducting a lot of defenses or counteroffensives, I don't know, anything in this area. So that's where I'm going to put my headquarters. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. I'd prefer it to be 3. Okay, let's leave it there for now. I can always move it forward later. Let's just get this unit to move forward. And so that one's fine. This one's fine. What are you? I think I just brought you in from somewhere else. Let's get you to first transfer your mortars away. And then, yeah, this is just a normal division, so we'll get them over here as well. And what I'm going to do is just, I want to make sure that the Yellow Brigade, which is already kind of overburdened, we can see that they have only a staff efficiency of 75%, but they already have 100 staff to get there. I don't like my HQs to have anything more than 100 staff. I really don't like even having 100 staff because their staff limit on this guy, which is really even high, is only 54. So it's better if you can just distribute it among many different HQs. So I'm trying to compact the zone that yellow has to cover. I'm trying to do the same thing with purple, but I mean pink. Yeah, I think that's my pink. So, but we'll get to that in a moment. All right, so far we've moved a few units. We have a front established here, which is good. A lot of yellow units, divisions need to move in, so we'll just, I guess Kharkov will be defended. I don't think I'm going to defend Kharkov coal by itself separately. This is just supplies, I think. It is, and I think we're doing pretty okay on supplies. We built up a 24,000 stockpile. Might not be the correct amount. I think we might actually need to start building supply, which is quite unfortunate, but I don't think I've built supply yet. So, but just with 10,000 output, my God, yeah. Let's see what our supply amount is. I think there's a way you can tell. It's this stuff is never. It's always difficult to see what exactly. Let me just do it this way. I think this is how much we are using. Or is this how much we're getting? 14,400. Is that the number we're getting? No, we're getting 8,400, so... Oh my God, if we need 18,000 or 14,400, we have like one turn left. I'll have to do some magic with the production queue after this. I've already kind of shown it, so let's just look at this again. This is what I was building last turn. I had a high emphasis on getting some staff. 140 staff, that is like insane. Staff are not cheap. They are 250 points per. Compare that to, I can get 5 rifles for every 1 staff. They are very expensive. They're more expensive than AT rifles. They're more expensive even than heavy machine guns. So they're quite expensive in this game. They're, in fact, it looks like the most expensive infantry unit you can get. So we'll have to be very careful about how we use them. We need to make sure our HQs don't stand too close to the front. And knowing that, we actually should probably prioritize enemy HQs as much as we can. Because they're lowering their staff, should lower their staff percentage, and that should give us a combat bonus. Slowly but steadily, we should eke some kind of advantage there. All right. So I'll need to shift some. I'll definitely need to shift some production towards, probably away from staff and into supply. Excuse me. But anyways, this is a fully ready unit. Let's take him down this way. I would send him this way, but just I want to keep him on the rails so I can actually. Oh, and he also needs to get rid of his mortarmen. Okay, mortar teams have left. Good. Okay, now I think this unit, which is going to be staying in Kharkov, might as well attach itself to the black headquarters here, which is only at 70%, but that's still not bad. This is a very low combat one because I don't expect it to be seeing combat as much. You can see 20 and 11, and it has attack 1 or will, versus 30 and 13 with 54, and this guy has defend 2, which is perfect. So we won't play defend 2 until they actually declare war, but I really, if I was a gambling man, I would bet that they're going to declare war on their next turn. So by the time I get into game next, we should already have been attacked. That's what I suspect will happen. Who knows, though? Could be wrong. All right, let me just zoom out one and kind of go over what I started talking about what I wanted to do last turn at the very end of last episode, but we haven't actually seen how my forces are deployed until now. So basically I made a lot of decisions. The yellow headquarters, it's pretty obvious where they're stacked up. I want to shift them even one further south. So I want to get this unit not to have to cover this area right here. And then they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes of the front that they have to cover, which is, in my opinion, ideal for one headquarters. Same thing with pink, purple, pink. Let's call it pink. It's really, wow. The color just, I had it in my head and it doesn't matter. Fuchsia, maybe we can call it fuchsia. I want this one to only cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, this is not a rail hex, so I'd have to do the rail from here, and that means 1, 2, 3 is the closest I can get to covering this or this hex. Or if I move my headquarters here, 1, 2, 3. But that means my headquarters has to be in a swamp. It's not good. So I might have to defend from here, 1, 2. Maybe the yellow just has to stay here because it's 1, 2, 3 from this headquarters, and where we are right now, we are 1, 2, 3 away from this one. So it's kind of perfect. The only problem is the yellow one is really overburdened. Like I already mentioned, that this needs like 25% more staff, which would be a pain. And I think it'll end up being more than that because we're at 3/4 what we should be. So we need to go up by 1/3, which means we should probably take another 30 staff. I don't really have that number to give. Anyway, going back to this unit, let's keep him on the top. So this one's at 100 and it's only 2/3. So we need to go up to 150 for this staff, which means he's over deployed. Very much over deployed. All right, I can see that I need to move this unit up. We have a lot of units in here, and I'm relying right now on the fighters. So we'll get this fighter to move down here even. I'm relying on my fighters, which are the weakest units, to defend first. The reason is because I'm just going to cycle them out by getting them destroyed. It's not a very nice thing, but it's a very necessary thing. So we'll put these in Bialystok. So I only have recon and fighters in the front, in the forward cities, the forward 3 cities. They should still defend well. The Germans have plenty of air bases and stuff. They have an aircraft factory right here, for crying out loud. So there's lots of, interesting if they built it here. So there's lots of, I'm expecting a lot of different air units to come at me from the Germans. Certainly I'm expecting a lot. It's one of their strong points, but I feel like we will win the war with our artillery. So as long as we can defend, which is why my current production for planes has been nothing but fighters. And Yak 1s are decent fighters, for sure. They may not be as good as the German equivalent in 1939, but we probably have the advantage in production. So I think that we may even be able to hold our own, and we are pumping out nothing but fighters from our factory. I suspect that, fighters alone won't do much. You need to supplement it with dive bombers. They have, we'll probably do a little bit of exploring. Let's see, how much do we have? Do we have submarines? Okay, we have a submarine here. Submarine 2, so let's send this guy out. Just kind of peruse the corner, the corridor. When we get to 50, we've gone too far. This only costs 8, so we can get that one as well. Ooh, that was a good one. And now we can get back. Oh, perfect. I don't want them in Rita anymore. Let's get them over to Talon. So let's move them. Okay, interesting. Perfect. So we were able to pick up quite a bit of intelligence that way. That was fantastic. Oh, they got their pocket battleships there. They have 2 night fighters. Some very small. That's a relatively small garrison. I wonder if it'd be worth it to try to do an attack. No, we'd never make it because of all their naval defense. All right, now this is starting to look more like what we expect. I think I set out my Yaks in groups of 8, and we can see that we'll be expecting to go up against, like, this is 23 BF 109Ds. Let's compare this to the Yak 1. We can see that my Yak 1 is actually advantaged over it because this is the older version. What else do they have? The Recon 2 is not going to help them. More of those 109Ds. More 109Ds. Their HQ. Some Junkers, of course, the famous screaming dive bomber. How are you? Well, it's the good thing about it is it should be relatively easy to take down. Sometimes, if we see this, it's going to target ground troops first. If you're interested in knowing how it's going to do against aircraft, best way to do it is to compare one of your own aircraft that has air combat as a priority. So if we look at this one and we compare, or go to combat stats, this lists obviously air groups first, because that's what a fighter is going to be prioritizing. Now we can go over to the Ju-87. I think it was a B. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And we can see that against low fighters on the attack, this is a low fighter. This is a low bomber. So against low bombers on the defense, which is what we'll be defending, we defend at 102. And they attack, which is what they'll be doing, at 16. So very good chance that they don't hit us, considering 160. Like, they have less than a 10% chance of hitting us. And we, on the other hand, have, I don't know what the ratio is. Basically, it's probably about oh, by the way, this is not even a 10%. This is like a 5% chance to get hit. And I think we have about a 50-50 chance of hitting them for however many, each round per however many rounds. I'm doing very, like, napkin-style math, just mental stuff, brief approximations, but that seems to be what it is to me. It's more or less 5% chance to hit and 50% chance to, 5% chance to be hit, 50% chance to hit. So we should knock those out of the sky. Not surprising. I mean, they are dive bombers, but what is their actual combat stats against tanks? Well, they only have 200. So against a lot of our lighter armor, like our light tanks, these guys only have, well, they have 720, so it would still take a pretty lucky roll of the die to hit those. Our heavy tanks, 1440, these are going to be very hard to hit. Very hard to hit, I guess. What would that be, like a 6% chance or so? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Here we have some light bombers. The Dornier 17E. Only 100 against armor, so it's another one. But the infantry 50-50, that's actually not bad. It's not great either. I don't know. This doesn't seem that useful to me. They only have 5 of them here. That's not... Okay, and back to 17 of these. 14. Okay, so we're definitely going up against the 109Ds. They have a Henkel. This is Bomber 2. How does this one do? Okay, better in terms of its ability to attack soft units, but only 18 on the attack against low fighters. Susceptible, I would say. Let's see how it does in the air. This was the 111E. Okay, there she is. We would be doing, it's 102 for us versus, yeah, 18 from them. So we should tear this thing apart again. But obviously their fighters are going to be what we're mainly combating. And they have even 109Cs, which we should do even better against. Let's just, I don't know, this is obviously a lot of number looking at. But yeah, we would do well. Okay, so I'm going to forget this. It's actually, I love going through this and looking at all the different stats, but we'll leave it there. What else do they have on the front? This is, well, let's just do a few more air recon missions wherever we think it's necessary or useful to do so. I think one here. And we have another unit, another fighter with 9 here. We'll send these guys up here to see, do they have, like, is this actually a hole? No. They have some units there. That's what we expect, right? We don't expect them to have a totally empty hole. It'd be interesting to see if they have anything over here. Let's do a quick... yeah, let's do it down here. Okay. There's obviously something. Get this one to do air recon right here. Okay. We'll get this horse unit to move up. This will cost 30. And move back. So what do we see here? More loans. Yeah, okay, BF91Ds. Some. Now we're getting into their tanks. These are not terribly strong. I won't look at them more, but I'd say against this we could hold. Yeah. I want to move this one forward and back, I'd say. Probably just like this. That's enough. I actually want my horses back from the front, but that's fine. They'll have to stay, unfortunately. But let's give us a better look at what they're doing. They obviously are just piling it into Krakow. I guess this counts as a... Oh, it's urban, so I guess it counts as an airbase? Yeah. Huh, I didn't know that. Good to know that all these are actually air bases as well. I did not consider that. All right, they have some tanks. I'd say we're in really good shape because a lot of my infantry have two, I'd say at least one per hex has two AT gun 3s. And these are just very good defense against armor, 640. And they're not easy to kill because tanks don't necessarily prioritize them as quickly. Okay, well, enough. What are we actually going to do? I hope that actually this episode was at least illustrative, I guess, of how we're going to defend. I'm going to be trying to use 3 per hex, 2 which have infantry guns like normal, and 1 which has AT guns. So this one has infantry guns as normal. Actually, I think 60 and 3, 40 and 2. Yeah, that's fine. One of the there's a little bit of jockeying, moving around I have to do. I guess I'm going to do a lot of this off camera. Like all these mortars, we'll just have them come to this one spot. And then I'll merge. And I'll probably do this off camera. I mean, this is silly, right? It doesn't need to be done on camera. Okay, but we know that these are now gone, so we don't have to look at them. Alright, where do I want my tanks to go? That's a good question. I don't actually want my battleship here. I left it there last turn. Ah, that's interesting. Let's just go ahead and take a peek at what they have. Oh, can we actually... This is 8 per, so we can get here, 2, 3, 4. Good. So that gave us a little better scouting. What do they have here? Oh, man. Some destroyers. Okay, so we probably won't win the naval war, but we don't really care too much about that. All right, let's get this guy to build another road, and he can't build a road over here. It costs 200 engineering action points. My god, that's just impossible. This unit won't ever even get that much. So we'll move him down here, and he'll move out of this area on his next turn. Move this infantry up. We have another infantry here we need to start sliding over into Helsinki. We'll also manually build a unit in Helsinki just so it isn't easily conquered next turn. More mortars to move around. We have a few units coming in. Some mortars over here, my god. Alright, anyways, this is what is going to happen. We have black defending here, yellow defending here. These aren't quite set up because this is 40 and 4 and I want it to be 40 and 5, so we should switch these guys. Oh, this is my AT. Do I want my AT? Yeah, I have AT in here already, so let's actually leave the AT out here. That sounds good. I put my infantry guns into the city to defense. That seems really reasonable. We already have 1 AT. That's probably... Oh, I mean, unless we get really unlucky, that should be all we need. Infantry gun here. This is 40 and 5 with an AT. That's perfect, so let's do this. Swap. These are obviously not set up well to defend. We want, ideally, 1 infantry gun and... also 1 AT in each of these. So basically yellow is currently understaffed. Even though maybe I'll have, maybe I'll move this headquarters to here. Seems a little too far. Maybe even, I mean, it seems too far, but maybe we'll even move it here. Because it's going to be more important. I think Odessa, I'm going to squeeze the front and let Odessa be defended by black even. I don't know. I'm going to have to make a lot of these decisions off camera. You can see how long this game takes when you're me and you overthink everything. But it's going to be a lot of fun. The war is starting very, very soon. I have my KV-1 counterattack forces setting up in the rear. I need to get them to the front. Obviously, they should be moving forward. This appears to be a normal division that never got its assignment, its HQ assignment. It's a mess. It's a total mess. A total mess in the lines here. Damn it. And if I choose... Okay, this one's going to have to go black because if I choose yellow now, I actually lose all the cards, and Defend 2 might be useful very soon. So I think I'm going to do... Or I could do anything besides... I could make this green instead. Let's do that. Yeah, this card's already missing. Why don't you go green? Lime green. This is what you do. You sit around and you look and you count and like, oh, is that what I want? And we shouldn't have 2 artillery by themselves here. That doesn't make sense. We need defense. Get these guys up here. Don't want mortars sticking around the front for the initial defensive action. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that this kind of explains what I'm doing. Right now, we currently have this forest green, dark forest green, holding the Leningrad area. But I have plans to redeploy them into the middle as well for a counterattack because they are also a very offensive-oriented unit. They have all their mortars. So yeah, that's stuff. I'm considering these guys as a counterattack unit. What Orange is supposed to do is be the defender of Leningrad to Helsinki, and also holding on to our ports up here. But this is not going to be a problem because I'm pretty sure Germany doesn't have the ability to get all the way around the ice tip over here. They're probably going to concentrate the majority of their sea forces here, and that's just because eventually when the British and French do get involved again, it would just be suicide for them to be caught up here. They'd never make it back to port in time. So, I myself don't even know what I'm doing with these submarines. Part of me wanted to scrap them, but I'm going to leave them for historical flavor. But there's nothing they can do because they'd run out of supply. So they have 5 guns. They carry 25. Basically, they can survive like 6 turns without being resupplied, or I can manually resupply. I'm not going to get into it. We're not going to be using submarines, basically. Okay, well, I have jumped around and babbled quite enough for one episode, and it's already been 35 minutes of doing just that. When you come back next time, once again, you will see, I can do this. This is obviously enough what I want to do. I want to move these guys forward. You'll see these guys, well, we probably will see us at war, but you'll see in the opening, maybe I'll cut back into the video actually at the very end just to show you my final deployment. Why don't I do that? That would make a lot more sense. Rather than rambling, I'm going to cut this video here so you see it at the start. And maybe I'll come back in just very briefly to show you the final configuration. Yeah, so I'll see you in a moment. Welcome back. Okay, so I have finally, after like maybe an hour of thinking through it, going through all the various permutations. This is seriously an intense game of chess. I have, just by doing a little bit of reconnaissance, it doesn't look like he is amassing much troops over here at all. So what I'm seeing is a very weak front, except for tanks here and tanks here. Noting this, and not having any idea what... this is a very compact front, and I'm not even sure that the game engine can handle it. Basically, the stacking penalty I think might still be too high, that we can probably just maximally compact our defense in this area. And it'll be Sitzkrieg. It'll be World War I, trench warfare. The line won't move. Just in case that's not the case, I'm going to leave my blue headquarters in place to make a counter push, or even to open a line if we have any success at all, or to reinforce. This has got my KV-1s. The blue is the motorized army of my Russian forces. This is like the elite of the elite, the creme de la creme. It has my motorized infantry, and it has my KV-1s. All of them are in this blue army. Now, my teal, aquamarine, whatever color you want to call this army, is actually the one that was northernmost, so this is rather inconvenient, but I'm going to move this army all the way to the south. The reason for this is I'm going to employ a heavy number of mortars. Notice this was blue, I've switched it to teal, aquamarine, whatever. I've switched it to the light blue because mortars are much better in open terrain like this, and they're not going to be as effective in the forest. Whereas, I don't know. Basically, I know that my mortars. Let's get them. They don't take any attack or defense penalties in the open hills, and what's more, these guys are my... Okay, I'm confused. I might be confusing which army is supposed to go where. Is my blue army supposed to go here? Or am I switching... I might be switching some forces over from the light blue to the dark blue. Mainly, without taking into consideration the mortars for a moment, submachine guns are really the critical units. these get a defense and attack penalty in particular squares. You want to use these only in heavy forest or in urban or fortifications. The most urban and forest locations are going to be right around here. Not a whole lot of them. This is mostly hills where they take any place they don't get a bonus, they take a penalty. So, light forest being the one exception to that. But we don't have a whole lot of light forest in this area. So basically we have a bonus in heavy forest and urban. We have a penalty everywhere else, including plains. Just plains is bad. So these are going to be my shock troops. I'm going to bring these submachine guns up, and I think that those guys are going to go over here. That's why I was confused though, because I think I forgot to switch their army. They should be in dark blue, which is going to be in charge of the compact front. And the compact front is probably the best place for... Oh, so interesting. It does change the factory. The factory construction actually changes it to an urban location. That is interesting. Okay, so that means that this is now an urban location. Basically, it fortifies their front even more. So I will probably have to, yes, fight with submachine guns here. So we'll probably switch those forces off camera. Anyway, other than that, I have my dark blue up here, my navy blue. I have my pink. Then I have my yellow. We're in good shape there. I have green to reinforce here. I have my aquamarine, or light blue, let's just say. My light blue is going to be probably deployed all the way to the south. The goal is there's going to be a heavy mortar presence in this army, minus the submachine guns, forget those, but there's going to be a heavy mortar presence, and I'm going to try to push into... this is supposed to be, I would imagine, the less dense area. I don't imagine there'll be as many troops over here. So in order to take advantage of this, it might not be true because they're still finishing off this French pocket in Vienna, but if we can finally, if they don't move too many forces out of Vienna to this front, then I suspect that having, the way we can make a counteroffensive will be down here. So I don't really have anything else more to say. I already, really spent way too much time, and I apologize for that. I might even, I don't know... This series is kind of difficult to do, the after action reports, because I'm very slow about Advanced Tactics Gold. There's a lot I don't know about in GD 1938, so I keep looking it up, just comparing different things on camera, like the aircraft and all that. It's all because I don't know it well enough, and this is just how I play the game. I'm very methodical, and I like to take the time to smell the roses, look at all the different stats. But I think that this is what I'm concluding, at least in my strategy. I was contemplating for a while, even trying to force one of my armies all the way down south through Turkey. And this may be an idea for a later push, because I do have the officer pool to recruit from. I have one really good general still in here. This one, I guess? Yeah, Popov. So I have Popov still in this pool. If we wanted to make another headquarters and give him just a whole bunch of units to try to push in from the south, from Turkey and Greece, I think that would be really effective, because their forces are really light down here. And I don't know how different this plays from the normal Advanced Tactics Gold, but what I found about that Advanced Tactics Gold is, despite being a World War II simulator, it often becomes very much like a World War I simulator, where the gain and loss of 100 feet is just so costly, so bought with such loss. You just have to throw an immense attack to move the line even a little bit. That's kind of what I'm relying on, because you see, I don't have a massive defense in depth here. I'm basically just defending, if I wanted to defend in depth, this hex here should certainly be occupied. I do a decent amount of defense in depth down here, because that's where I feel like I might be weakest, but yeah. Anyway, a little bit better defense in depth over here. Just this one hex, I guess, missing. And this is marsh, so I'm not really going to bother with it. I could just put some riflemen in here if I want, and maybe I will still do that, but it's definitely fine. The troops from Bialystok will fall back to here. These guys will fall back to here. So it's probably just about right. It's not like nobody can really blaze a path of glory through the marsh here. If the German units want, they can probably just move one hex at a time through the marsh. So there's no way that they'd be able to push a flanking maneuver. With the one exception being, I have to watch out for these engineers. They're probably here to build roads through the swamp. But if they do any kind of bridge building at all, they would have to do something up road already exists, and they'd have to do the road here. Maybe they're already wondering why I haven't done that myself. So I probably should have done that. I don't think I need to, but they may need to exploit different lines, different paths forward. Anyway, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. So basically, this is what I expect will be the last turn of peace. And even if they declare war, just based on the reconnaissance, it just doesn't seem like they have enough to really punch me out of my front lines. So, unless I'm missing a lot in Poznan here, or Krakow, yeah, unless I'm missing a lot of forces, seriously missing something big, I feel pretty confident about the way things are lined up. And the only exception to that is maybe down here in the south with my yellow form. We could be doing better here. Ideally, I would actually occupy these two just because I think territory is so dearly bought in Advanced Tactics Gold that it might be worth it to even not give up these two plains hexes. Although on the other hand, it would be nice to lure them out of the hills. So 6 one way, half dozen the other. So stay tuned. I guess the next episode should be coming up pretty quick because things are getting fast and furious. And for the next one, I'll also take a much better approach where I'll first just open up with what has happened, and then I'll come back at the end of the turn when or for either the combat or when I've finished my turn. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you back for the next video.